The monologue confession scene of Judy Barton, played by Kim Novak, in her hotel room is arguably the dramatic pivot and one of the most crucial sequences in Alfred Hitchcock's film Vertigo, as it reveals the truth behind the entire mystery. This sequence, which takes place at the Empire Hotel in San Francisco, is a moment of solitude and tension where Judy, alone, writes a letter to Scotty Ferguson, played by James Stewart, then tears it up, sealing both characters' fate. Explanation of the scene. Judy is introduced as a simple shop clerk with a troubled past. She is the strange reincarnation of a woman named Madeline Elster. Scotty, haunted by Madeline's death, for which he feels guilty, will become obsessed with the idea of reshaping Judy into Madeline by forcing her to adopt Madeline's clothes, hairstyle, and mannerisms. The confession scene occurs after a moment of tenderness between Scotty and Judy, when he has followed her up to her room in the Empire Hotel. The written monologue. After Scotty has left the room, Judy sits down to write a letter to Scotty. It is at this moment, via the voiceover reading the letter's contents, that the truth is revealed to the audience. She confesses that she is not Madeline's reincarnation, she was Madeline Elster for him. She was an actress who played the role of Madeline. It was a staged performance. Scotty's blindness, she explains that she was hired by Gavin Elster to play the role of his wife, Madeline, in order to fake her suicide. The real Madeline had already been murdered and her body thrown from the top of the mission's San Juan Bautista Bell Tower while Scotty, paralyzed by his acrophobia, was unable to climb. Judy's love. She confesses her true love for Scotty, the love that pushed her to stay and accept being remodeled by him later. She wants to tell him the truth because she is in love with him. She has fallen in love with him and this was not part of the murderous plot. The decision. Just before signing the letter, she stops. She realizes that if Scotty knew the truth, he could never love her. His obsession with the illusory Madeline is too strong. She tears up the letter, throwing the pieces into the wastebasket. Analysis of the scene. This scene is a stroke of Hitchcockian genius and a key moment in the film's dramatic suspense and psychological study. 1. Release suspense and godlike knowledge. The concept. Contrary to the classic suspense formula, keeping information secret until the end, Hitchcock chooses to reveal the entire truth halfway through the film. At the time, critics were divided over this audacity. The effect. By revealing that Judy is Madeline/the imposter, Hitchcock shifts the suspense. The viewer now knows the truth, gaining a godlike knowledge over Scotty. The suspense is no longer what happened, but what will happen now that we know, and will Scotty find out? This heightens the dramatic irony and the viewer's anxiety about Scotty's blindness and Judy's emotional trap. 2. Obsession and remodeling, Pygmalionism. Judy's decision to tear up the letter is the moment she chooses to sacrifice her identity and her desire to be loved as Judy, in favor of the illusion that Scotty desires. This is the final submission to Scotty's fetishism and psychological necrophilia. He does not love the living person in front of him, but the dead image he is trying to resurrect. The scene highlights the central theme of the film: love is only possible within fiction and representation. 3. Staging and emotion. Isolation. The monologue takes place in the intimacy of a hotel room, emphasizing Judy's isolation and moral agony. Music. Bernard Herrmann's anxious score heightens her dilemma. Performance. Actress Kim Novak delivers a heartbreaking performance, conveying the internal struggle between the desire for truth and the fear of losing him. Her gaze at the letter denotes both her guilt and her vulnerability. The impact. This scene confirms that Vertigo is not a detective story, the mystery is solved, but a psychological study of obsession, manipulation, and the danger of loving an image rather than a person. Tearing up the letter is the act that makes the tragedy inevitable. It allows Scotty to discover the truth later in an even more brutal way and seek vengeance, leading directly to the final climax at the top of the bell tower.
The second revelation, Carlotta's necklace. The scene where Scotty Ferguson discovers the truth about Judy Barton is the turning point that shifts the film from romantic tragedy to obsessive revenge. It occurs well after Judy's voiceover confession at the Empire Hotel and is triggered by a fatal detail, the necklace Scotty had seen on Madeline Elster. Presentation of the scene. Scotty has finally succeeded in remodeling Judy into Madeline's exact image. She has the hairstyle, the clothes, and the appearance Scotty intensely desired. After the completion of this resurrection, they meet in Judy's hotel room. Madeline's appearance, Judy emerges from the bathroom, fully transformed. For Scotty, Madeline's ghost is resurrected. The green neon light from outside bathes the room, creating an ethereal and supernatural atmosphere, highlighting that this moment is a fiction and a waking dream. Scotty is overwhelmed, and for him, love is finally possible. The exchange and the embrace, Scotty embraces her passionately. The camera revolves around them, and Bernard Herrmann's music swells into a climax of romantic madness. Later, Judy wears a dark dress. They prepare for dinner at the restaurant. The fateful detail. Scotty's gaze falls upon a detail. Judy is wearing an antique necklace around her neck. This is the necklace that Carlotta Valdez, Madeline's mad ancestress, wore in her portrait at the museum, and that Madeline herself wore. The realization. For Scotty, this is a shock. This necklace is irrefutable physical proof that Judy is not merely a copy of Madeline, she is the woman who played Madeline, and therefore the accomplice in the murder. The shock is so violent that he pushes her away brutally, the dream is shattered. Analysis of the scene. This scene is a masterpiece of staging and Hitchcockian symbolism. 1. The role of the symbol, the necklace. The necklace is the emotional MacGuffin that allows Scotty to connect the present and the past. It represents the materiality of the fraud. All of Scotty's work to recreate Madeline was based on the reconstruction of an image. The image is an illusion. The necklace is a physical object that should never have been on Judy/Madeline if Gavin Elster's story had been true. Scotty has been manipulated by Elster, and Judy was an accomplice in the murder of Elster's wife. Elster gave to Judy the necklace as a present to thank her for the participation in the murder plot. The necklace is Judy's involuntary mistake. Overwhelmed by the emotion of finally achieving the perfect image for Scotty, she overlooked this detail. The necklace is the accessory she forgot to remove from Madeline's costume box. 2. The green light and demythologization. The green light is a key element of Hitchcockian symbolism in Vertigo. It is associated with moments of Madeline's reminiscence and the unreal atmosphere. At the moment of transformation, the green light creates Scotty's dream. This is the moment he believes the resurrection is complete. But when Scotty notices the necklace and understands, the green light is demythologized. It no longer symbolizes mystery and romance but lies and the sickness of obsession. The green dream turns into a green nightmare. 3. Scotty's evolution, from obsessed to avenger. Judy's confession to the audience, the first revelation, prepared for this second revelation. The audience awaits this moment. This discovery changes Scotty. He realizes he is not a pathetic hero trying to save a ghost, but a manipulated and ridiculed victim. His love and obsession for Madeline immediately transform into a fierce need for revenge and self-reassertion. He no longer seeks to love Judy/Madeline, he seeks to punish the impostor and the murderer. The following scene, the ascent to the bell tower, will be a violent attempt to exorcise his acrophobia and gain justice. The necklace scene is the exact moment when love dies and anger takes over, inverting the dynamic between Scotty and Judy. Scotty, who was the manipulated subject, becomes the manipulator. His fury will explode soon.
The fundamental link, the double revelation. Absolutely. The connection between the two revelation scenes, Judy's confession to the viewer, at the Empire Hotel, and Scotty's discovery via the necklace, constitutes the narrative scaffolding and the thematic core of Vertigo. These two scenes are not mere narrative steps, they are two sides of the same coin of knowledge and tragedy, orchestrating the character's fate through the interplay of held and hidden information. The fundamental link, the double revelation. The relationship between these two moments is a unique cinematic mechanism used by Alfred Hitchcock to manipulate the levels of knowledge held by the audience and the protagonist, transforming the crime film into a profound psychological study. 1. The structure of knowledge. Hitchcock uses the first revelation, the torn letter, to create a total dramatic irony that defines the second. The link is that the first scene charges the second with meaning and pain. When Scotty discovers the necklace, the audience doesn't discover the information, Judy's guilt, but the emotional impact of that information on Scotty. Multidisciplinary analysis. The articulation of these two scenes allows for a rich interpretation from various perspectives. 1. The fetishism of the image. The first scene shows that Judy, in an act of sacrificial love, chooses to embody Scotty's fetish, Madeline. She chooses to erase herself as a subject to become the object of desire, the restored image. Symbolic castration. Scotty's discovery of the necklace is the intrusion of the real into his fantasy. The necklace is the object that proves the perfect image is a lure. This moment is a symbolic castration for Scotty, as he loses the object of his desire, the illusion of Madeline, and is forced to acknowledge his own weakness and manipulation. The fear of the void, the vertigo, caused by acrophobia is replaced by the fear of betrayal and the identity void he tried to fill with a dead image. 2. Platonic and existentialist perspective. Plato's allegory of the cave. Scotty lives in a Platonic cave, in love with the shadow, Madeline. He manipulates Judy to become the shadow. Judy's confession reveals the truth outside the cave to the viewer. The discovery of the necklace is the moment Scotty is violently pulled out of the cave to face the raw reality. He can no longer bear the illusion. Existential authenticity. Judy, by tearing up the letter, chooses inauthenticity for love, sacrificing her being for itself, Judy, for the being for others, Madeline, Scotty's object. The discovery via the necklace is the tragic failure of this choice. Anguish strikes Scotty, as he realizes his project of love and redemption was based on nothingness, the lie. 3. Further analysis. The myth of failed resurrection. Scotty attempts a profane resurrection, bringing the dead Madeline back to life, through obsessive love. The green neon light in the hotel room during the transformation resembles a false divine glow. The revealed sin. The necklace is the proof of the original sin, Gavin Elster's murder. It is the stigma that cannot be erased. The first scene informed that the sin had occurred, the second scene shows how this sin contaminates the love between Scotty and Judy. Love is rendered impossible and must end in punishment and exorcism at the scene of the crime, the bell tower. 4. We can add some last comments. The transitional or ritual object. The necklace acts as a ritual object. It is the only invariant element passed from Carlotta to Madeline, then to Judy. It holds a totemic power, as it carries the history and curse of Carlotta, the story of an abandoned woman. Its presence on Judy shatters the illusion of the ritual staging, the remodeling. Scotty needed the ritual of transformation to be perfect, but the necklace proves that Judy's identity was never fully absorbed by Madeline's identity. The external sign, the necklace, betrays the game. Conclusion. The mechanism of tragedy. The link between the two scenes is the engine of Vertigo's tragedy. Tearing the letter, Judy's choice of love to accept her tragic fate for a chance at being loved. It is the renunciation of truth. Discovering the necklace. Scotty's dagger thrust that destroys that chance. It is the violent intrusion of truth through a simple object. Hitchcock uses this structure to subject the viewer to a double torment, that of anxious anticipation, and that of Scotty's suffering when the anticipation is broken. The viewer is the powerless witness to the destruction of a man and a woman, caused by the impossibility of love without truth.
Karl Marx's formula, taken from his work, The 18th Brumaire of Louis Bonaparte, 1852, is as follows. Hegel remarks somewhere that all great world historic facts and personages appear, so to speak, twice. He forgot to add, the first time as tragedy, the second time as farce. In Vertigo, Hitchcock uses repetition as a mechanism for psychological study, transforming the film into an intimate tragedy that perfectly, albeit unintentionally, illustrates the Marxian dynamic. 1. The repetition of revelations, tragedy and farce, or anguish and shock. The two revelation scenes function as the two acts in a history of knowledge. Marxian dramatic irony. The first revelation, tragedy, is the moment the viewer is painfully aware of the trap. The second, farce, is the moment this already known truth strikes Scotty. The sublime nature of the reconstructed love is instantaneously made ridiculous by the foolishness of forgetting the necklace. Scotty's great love or obsession story is revealed to be a banal criminal manipulation, which is, in itself, a form of the bitter farce of fate. 2. The repetition of the bell tower ascents, history revisited. The two ascents of the Mission San Juan Bautista Bell Tower represent the heart of the spatial and psychological repetition. A. The first ascent, the tragedy, the myth. Context. Scotty, trapped by his vertigo or acrophobia, is unable to climb. The ascent is an existential failure for Scotty, and the murder, the real death of the true Madeline, takes place off-screen for him. Function. It creates the film's foundational trauma. This is the original historical event, Elster's tragedy, disguised as suicide. B. The second ascent, the farce, the repetition. Context. Scotty, freed from his vertigo by the fury of vengeance and the confrontation with the truth, forces Judy to climb the stairs again, reenacting the initial event. Function. It is the repetition of the drama, forced by Scotty. The scenario is the same, but the meaning is reversed. Love is absent, replaced by anger and punishment. Judy's death, this time real and not simulated, is not a planned, cynical murder, a tragedy, but the tragic and accidental result of Scotty's exorcism, a cruel farce of fate that causes the vengeance to fail. Marxian conclusion. The first ascent is Elster's tragic criminal act. The second ascent is the absurd repetition of the act, where Scotty, seeking justice, merely reproduces the pattern of death. History, the murder on the bell tower, repeats itself, not to resolve the drama, but to double it in a pathetic manner. Scotty's attempt to confront history leads only to renewed tragedy, proving that man is unable to break free from his own patterns. 3. The failure of historical liberation. The link between the two revelation scenes and the two bell tower ascents shows that escape from the past is impossible in Scotty's universe. Judy's revelation to the audience, the torn letter, make us think that Scotty has a chance to escape the past by accepting Judy for who she is. He fails later to seize this opportunity. The necklace revelation. Scotty is forcibly brought back to the past, as he realizes he only replayed Elster's manipulation. For Marx, men make their own history, but not under self-selected conditions. For Scotty, he tries to make his own love story, but he is trapped by the scenario and the space of Elster's history. Vertigo is therefore a meditation on how psychological obsessions, the equivalent of Marx's traditions of all the dead generations, weigh like a nightmare on the brains of the living.